Hey, how can I help you?
Hi, I was wondering if you want to take a look at my Abraham Lincoln etching here.
That's not an etching, that's a print.
Okay, my Abraham Lincoln print.
Okay.
I thought Abe was bald.
Why would you think that Abe Lincoln was bald?
Because he always wears that top hat.
It's a stovepipe hat, and he wasn't
Oh,
bald.
excuse me.
Okay.
Coming to the pawn shop today to see if I can sell my Abraham Lincoln print. The reason I want to sell it today is I've had it for so long and not really done anything with it. I don't really know how much it's worth, but with it being Abraham Lincoln, there's a chance that it could be worth a lot of money, and that would be pretty exciting.
So you have a print here
Yes.
of Abraham Lincoln that's
Yep.
autographed at the bottom, A. Lincoln. We have oxidation around the edges of the paper here, so you can tell that it's pretty old. Lincoln died in 1865.
Right.
People have been putting up pictures of Lincoln for over 100 years. Everyone points to him as an example of what a president should be. I mean, the guy helped end slavery and guided us through a civil war. He's earned a place of respect in history.
You got something really interesting here. In 1865, they still used lamp black, iron filings. It was a weird combination for ink, okay? After 60, 70, 80 years, those iron filings began to rust.
Okay.
That's why when you look at old documents and things like that, all the letters are no longer black, they're orange.
Okay, that's interesting.
First hint on anything this age is why do we have black ink then?
Right.
All right? You ever hear of Joseph Kazi?
No.
He could forge just about anything.
Joseph Kazi was one of the most famous forgers in American history. Kazi faked everyone from Benjamin Franklin to George Washington and sold them to big-time collectors. He even forged a copy of the Declaration of Independence.
This is something that was done, I believe, 1920s, 1930s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did a great Abraham Lincoln signature, okay? I mean, it was identical, except for some reason, he always lined up the A with the Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln's A was always below the L. This is lined up perfectly.
Okay.
So if you ever see the A lined up with the Lincoln, it's Joseph Kazi.
So, I mean, it worth anything?
Believe it or not, the forgeries by Kazi are worth a little bit of money
Really?
because it was by a famous forger. But what you have here is a copy of a forgery. And I know that because one of my guys actually bought one of these a few years ago, and I had it checked out.
So is it worth anything at all?
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, because you don't even have the forgery.
Right.
This is a copy of the copy?
It's a copy of a forgery.
It's not even the real forgery.
All right. Thanks for bringing
Thank
it in,
you.
man.
Appreciate it. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make me an offer, but I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation piece from this point on.
What do you have there?
I have a stock certificate that was made out to one of the greatest American authors, Mark Twain.
Okay, you have a stock certificate from the Goodman Gold and Silver Mining Company, Virginia City, Nevada. Do you know what Mark Twain said about gold mines?
No.
Mark Twain said that a gold mine is a hole in the ground with a liar at the bottom.
I came to the pawn shop today to sell my stock certificate that was made out to Mark Twain. I'd like to make some money. There's a lot of great shopping to be done, and hopefully I'll be on a little shopping spree later on.
Where did you get this?
Well, my husband went out to an estate sale, and he bought some books, and as he was going through the book, he found it.
He was an incredible guy. His name is not Mark Twain.
No,
It's
Samuel Clemens.
Samuel Clemens. You know what Mark Twain means?
No.
Okay, he was a riverboat pilot, and you just didn't go down the Mississippi River. You had to navigate down it. And when you dropped your line into the water and you had 12 feet of clearance, you marked the Twain.
Oh.
Mark Twain.
Okay.
Which meant clear to go.
Okay.
Mark Twain was one of the greatest authors in the world.
Huckleberry Finn literally is considered the American novel. Just an incredible guy. Mark Twain is probably the best-known American writer ever. He became famous for his hilarious quotes and his sense of humor. He wrote what a lot of people consider the most important works of American literature, like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. What would you like to do with it?
I'd like to sell it.
Okay, now how much did you want for it?
I'd like $500.
Okay. Here's some big concerns I have about it.
Okay.
All right. Mark Twain was not Mark Twain. He was Samuel Clemens.
Yes.
This is supposedly a stock certificate where the shares are worth $100 apiece, and he has 100 shares. Would you put that stock certificate in your pen name or your real name?
I read that they put it in the Mark Twain name just as encouragement for him to write about them.
Okay. My other concern is I have never seen a stock certificate printed like this.
Even back in those days?
Even back in those days. If you owned stock in a company, you presented your stock and your dividends were paid. If it was printed this simple, anybody could counterfeit it. Just everything about it screams fake. This was probably made in the 1920s, 1930s, and some guy was making a lot of money selling a lot of these. I wish it was real. I mean, he's one of my favorite characters in history.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, young lady.
I'm really disappointed the stock certificate was a fake. Now I guess I'll just have to win some money at the casino.
What do we have here?
I have some Wells Fargo belt buckles made by Tiffany.
A Wells Fargo belt buckle from Tiffany is really rare.
Wow. I came to the pawn shop today to sell my Wells Fargo belt buckles made by Tiffany. I like collecting antiques. It's fun to keep the past alive. I was hoping to get, $500 a piece just so I can get some more money to go buy some more antiques.
So where did you get these?
I got them here in town at a flea market. The guy I bought them from a museum in Montana in 1969.
Okay.
And this is the marking of Tiffany on the back. All three have it.
Okay, do you know who these guys are?
Mr. Wells and Mr. Fargo.
That's correct. They started Wells Fargo Express Company. What happened was the gold rush started in California. There was nothing out there, and there was no rules and regulations. So anybody could start a bank, anybody could start an express company. They had stagecoaches going from town to town. I just love the fact that it's from Nevada. I mean, that would make it extremely rare. During the gold rush, Wells Fargo made a lot of money off a lot of people. They would ship gold and other valuables and eventually grew into one of the biggest banks in the world. How much did you pay for these?
$100.
Okay. A genuine Wells Fargo and Company belt buckle from Nevada from this time period, made by Tiffany and Company, would be worth tens of thousands of dollars. But these things are often faked.
But I have a letter from Tiffany that says that they're real.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Your buckle was indeed made by Tiffany in mid-last century for the thousands of employees of Wells Fargo and Company. Thank you for your interest, Tiffany and Company, C.H. Johnson, Service Manager. Let me just show you something right here. Tiffany would never make a belt buckle, then solder the little latch over their logo. Anything associated with Tiffany was done perfectly. This is not perfectly, therefore I know it's not Tiffany's. And none of these belt buckles popped up until 1970-ish. Tiffany never made a belt buckle for them. The story goes, when these belt buckles first came out around the country, someone basically was just driving around the country going from antique store to antique store and apparently made a fortune. He got rid of thousands of them.
But have you seen the letter before?
If I'm gonna sell you a fake belt buckle, I wouldn't have a problem typing up a fake letter.
This makes me feel terrible when this happens. At least it was only $100.
Yeah, it's been a lot worse.
I never buy anything fake, no matter what. Just having it around the shop is risky, because an employee might think it's genuine and sell it. That could turn into a real nightmare.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. I've got an item for sale today. I've got a Marilyn Monroe signed picture and a handwritten poem,
Wow.
as well as the obituary of the man that she wrote it to and his tags.
This could be very valuable. Looks like she's swinging on a rope. Yes. In high heels, I'm sure that's really safe.
This item is extremely unique. How many Marilyn Monroe handwritten poems are still out there? I mean, this should bring in a lot of money.
Okay, where in the world did you get this?
My father-in-law purchased it from an estate sale about 15 years ago.
All right. I know she did a lot of USO performances over in Korea, and she was kind of known for responding to letters herself. And Marilyn probably connected with normal people because she came from a pretty humble background. Before she was famous, she actually worked in a World War II munitions factory. And they actually caught a few pictures over there, which, snowballed into her actually getting a career. No celebrity today compares to Marilyn Monroe. I mean, she was practically royalty. If this is a genuine poem written by one of the biggest sex symbols of all time, we've got something really special here. All right, let's see how good of a poet she was.
Yes, I'll read it to you. You see me on the silver screen, also on Life magazine. My master has been many men. You've seen us both time and again. On the ground or in the sky, where there is mischief, so am I.
That's a good thing she was known for her acting and not her poetry.
I like to think of this as the lost Marilyn poem because there's no obvious documentation.
So this is the guy she wrote it to, Herbert S. French.
Yes, that obituary and the tags were found with the letter and the picture.
So have you ever had this checked out?
I have. 4 experts looked at it about 10 years ago.
So what was it appraised at?
It was appraised at $48,000.
All right, well, that's good to know. You got any paperwork with it?
I don't have any paperwork.
That's a shame. Without it, I don't have a lot to go on. Tell you what, mind if I have a buddy of mine come take a look at it? He works for PSA. They're one of the most reputable signature people there is out there.
Wonderful.
I'll be right back.
Thank you very much.
Having no paperwork is a massive red flag. But if it's real, the money he's talking about isn't that far off.
Wow, Marilyn Monroe, the great Marilyn Monroe. There's been a few times where I've seen handwritten letters, not really a handwritten poem. I mean, I know there's some of her work out there, but it's very rare to see that type of stuff. You mind if I take a look at this?
Not at all.
You know about her history with the Korean War. When she got married to Joe DiMaggio in 1954, she went right over there. That was kind of like their honeymoon. The troops just loved her. So think about the mail this lady would get. A Marilyn Monroe autograph could go for upwards of $3,500, but an unpublished poem by Marilyn Monroe written by her could go for $40,000 or $50,000. And that's the stuff collectors just dream about. So what are your concerns here?
You know, I know most Marilyn Monroe signatures that you see are secretarial.
Right.
And then to go along with a handwritten poem, it's almost too good to be true.
Of course. I'm gonna pull out some exemplars.
Okay.
The first thing you have to remember with her autograph, kind of always rushed, kind of sloppy, but she kind of had a beauty to it too, kind of like her. And if you start to look at the exemplar here, this is signed off a contract here, and you could see how her M moves so flowing right into her signature. That's usually how she always signed her name. Now, something that's striking about this photo, the secretary used to sign a lot of her correspondence, used to like to use a red pen. And I'm gonna pull something up here to show you. This is a signature. It's pretty widely known throughout the industry. When we see these photos, we instantly know they're secretarial, and that's what we're looking at here.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
It sucks that the signature was done by a secretary, but I'm a lot more interested in the poem because that's where the money will be. I can't imagine someone having their secretary write their poems for them.
Next, I'd like to analyze the poem, and I brought a sample of her handwriting here today. This is signed earlier in the 50s. And you could see her pressure is very similar throughout. When I start to compare both of these together, you go over here to the poem, it's 2 different worlds.
Yeah, they look absolutely nothing alike.
Yeah. This was unfortunately penned in someone else's hand and not Marilyn Monroe's. And it could have been her sentiment. She might have shared that sentiment with someone that was writing for her, but she did not write that.
Does it have any value?
The thing that actually would probably have more value is probably the photo postcard. The poem, unfortunately, because it's really hard to tie it to her, you're probably looking at something that's in the $40 to $50 range, just as a collectible.
Okay.
Steve, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, pleasure to see you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I was hopeful when they called me in today that this was going to be a real item. It'd be a very unique item. But once I took a look at the piece, it was pretty quick to see that it wasn't Marilyn Monroe's signature and it wasn't her handwriting.
Well, I wish it were real, man. I mean, we'd both make a lot of money, but
Absolutely.
as it sits, there's really nothing I can do with it.
Well, I thought it was real. It's disappointing, but I very much appreciate your time.
Have a nice day, man.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
Thank you.
Too bad this isn't the real deal. It could have made the shop a lot of money. On the plus side, maybe in real life, she was a much better poet.
What do we got here?
An Ivory Tusk.
Okay.
I'm here today at the pawn shop with my Ivory Tusk that is beautifully hand carved. I would hope that I could get somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 for it.
And what do you want to do with it?
I want to pawn it for 7 to 10 days. I
Okay.
need some money between now and 4 o'clock.
So how'd you get this thing?
I bought it in Taipei.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid a lot.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's not ivory.
What do you mean it's not ivory?
This is bone. It's pieced together bone, and it's made for the tourist trade. It only took like 2 seconds to tell this wasn't ivory. I've seen this hundreds of times before. They were in Asia, they went to a market, they were told they were ivory, they spent a lot of money on them.
I was told it was ivory.
Ivory would be a lot heavier than this.
Who says?
Says me. Bone is porous, ivory is not. Ivory is completely solid. If you look close, see the panels, the way they come together like that? Well, if it was real ivory, it would just be one solid piece. And what they do is they cut up pieces of bone and they shape it around a piece of wood, and this is what you get.
Oh my goodness.
As a matter of fact, through the split right here, you can see the wood that's underneath it. When you go overseas, there's a lot of unscrupulous dealers who will tell you it's ivory when it's not. I'm not really interested in buying ivory anymore. I mean, ivory used to be needed for billiard balls, concert pianos, and a few other things. Nowadays, you have synthetics. I don't like the process of getting ivory. I don't like the politics of it. I don't like anything about it. How much were you looking to get out of it?
1,000 to 15.
There's no way. I would loan you like $100 on this.
No.
Okay, that's what I can do.
Do a little bit better.
There's no way I could do better. It's not real, it's bone, okay?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, but I don't loan on pretty. I loan on what I can sell it for. Okay, I mean, that's basically what you got. All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you. I'm very upset. I was told it was ivory, and years later, now I'm finding out that it's not.